I would like to add my good afternoon, but I'd like to tell you why it is a good afternoon. The students are back. What a relief. I've been here 8 weeks on a peaceful, empty campus, and at last, students are back. I began to wonder what the college was here for. You're what we're here for, and we're very, very glad to have you back. It's a great moment in my Div 1 year here to at last have the chance to welcome returning students, again have the chance to welcome the new students whom I talked to on Thursday afternoon. Believe me, this wasn't where I expected to be. A year ago, I was sitting in Washington, D.C. It was the end of a hot, nasty, and politically wretched summer. Senator Harry Reid, the Senate Majority Leader, had just destroyed the last hopes that we had of developing compromise climate change legislation that could win a few Republican votes by driving off the Republican sponsors we had for his own political purposes, and the entire effort to get the United States, the largest source of emissions in the world, to change its policies collapsed. I was just back from China, about to leave for Brazil, wondering if I would ever get my sleep patterns back to normal again. I just had a telephone call from the chairman of a major industrial company with whom I had worked for 3 years to get climate change legislation passed, and he had said, "It's done. I'm going to have to step back. I can't do this anymore. The politics have turned right. We're not going to be able to get this done." And I was spending sleepless night after sleepless night trying to figure out, so what's plan C? How do we deal with this issue that deep in my gut I know is a threat to our existence, which people in Washington won't even admit exists? And I tell you, I never, ever imagined that a year later I'd be standing in Amherst, Massachusetts, here with you, talking about the beginning of a new year full of possibility and promise. Thank you for inviting me to be here. I have to tell you, I am so glad, so very glad, and so honored, and so energized to have the chance to be your president. I have been waiting to see the students back. I have been waiting to get started, and now is the moment. I have 3 very simple messages for you. I can give them to you in about 30 seconds. First, I already love this place. I love its values, its approach to education. I love the community. I love the way people approach the issues. I love the passion. Second, I get the challenges that we face, and I'll talk about those in a moment, but boy, do I see a lot of opportunities. Third, I need your help. That goes with the second one, right? Now, as you know, I'm not an academic. I come from an advocacy background. I've spent most of my life trying to convince companies and communities and countries and individuals to change their practices, to change the way they live in order to protect the planet. I've filed lawsuits. I've lobbied Congress. I've written books about it. I have met with industrial leaders in, I don't know, 20, 25 countries trying to convince them that sustainability was the way of the future. I've been in and out of government. And while that has given me the chance to work with some remarkable people, to be part of some very innovative strategies that have made a real difference in the world, I have got to tell you that as somebody who ran an organization that tracked what was going on in the world environmentally, the trends have all been going the wrong way at an accelerating pace. I have seen the damage grow worse throughout my career. Yet, I remain a complete optimist. I think you're going to solve the problem. I'm an optimist because while resources are finite, the power of knowledge and the reach of human ingenuity is not. The more we use them, the more they increase. And what I see in this community is a collection of people who are excited by knowledge, who are full of ingenuity, who see their education as the first step in the process of being able to build their own world, their own frame, their own narrative, their own ways of creating change. That's really where Hampshire comes in for me as a step, an opportunity to get myself engaged with the people I genuinely believe have a chance of solving the problems that I've beaten my head against unsuccessfully. As one alum trustee told me at a retreat that we had a few weeks ago, when he sees a world of accelerating change and turbulence and chaos, he rubs his hands because he feels his Hampshire education prepared him better than anyone else to accept change, to enjoy it, to adapt to it, and to succeed. He's an investor, and he makes his money when the markets get turbulent, when everybody runs for cover and people get scared. That's what a Hampshire education is about, making you able to adapt to a world in which the pace of change is accelerating. There is a lot of gloomy talk. You've probably seen it. As soon as I accepted this job, my friends began sending me articles about it, about the future of liberal education. It's just going to be too hard. Small liberal arts colleges simply have an unsustainable business model, right? The costs are rising faster than inflation. Tuitions are going up. People can't afford to pay what it's required to give you the kind of education that we provide here. Economic times are hard. People are frightened about committing this kind of money. The demographics are against us. The number of kids applying to college compared to the number of colleges is not growing anymore, it's going down, and especially in the areas where Hampshire draws its students from, the demographics are against us. There's increased competition. There are a lot of colleges out there that say they do what we do, that claim they give the kind of education that we give, schools who say they provide student-centered education, who say they develop critical thinkers. And there are for-profit schools out there that claim they can give you a good enough education for a much lower price. There are online schools out there that say they can give you a cheap education without your ever having to go to the campus. They say that they can give you the necessary certificates so you can get jobs, because that's really what you're here for, right? You're just here to get a good job when you get out of school. I don't think so. That this is Hampshire. There was an article that appeared in the Times a couple of weeks ago about a new online course that Stanford was providing with leading computer engineers that had registered 58,000 students. And each one is going to get individual attention, of course. And of course, Hampshire fits that model, right? We're 92% tuition supported. We have only a small endowment. We're not a rich school. It's tough for us to ride out economically difficult times. You live and work in our buildings. You see that there's a lot of maintenance we haven't been able to keep up with. You know that almost everything... Was that amen? Mark, are we on that? Okay. You know that everything we do is done on a tight budget. So, are we just part of a dying breed? Are you one of the last classes? No, I don't believe that for a second. I've spent the last 2 months here. I've visited every building on the campus. I've seen the deferred maintenance. I've talked to faculty about the restraints on innovation because we don't have enough money. I've heard the problems that we face in terms of every year's budget being constrained. I understand the challenges we face, but I have to say I really see them as enormous opportunities for this school, because the education we provide is totally unique, and it is exactly what is needed in the beginning of the 21st century, because the alumni whom we have all regard this education as a crucial part of what shaped them in their lives. Because when you talk to any member of the faculty here, and I've been doing it for the last 8 weeks, you talk to any member of the faculty about students, their eyes light up, they glow with excitement about their chance to work with all of you and your creativity and your desire to learn and your willingness to dig deep and be challenged. You talk to any member of the staff here, you find a level of commitment that I find absolutely stunning compared to other organizations. That every member of the staff cares about what this organization does and how they can be part of it. So I think we have a terrific story to tell and an absolutely essential role to play. And that means that we're poised at a moment where we don't face huge problems, where we have a chance to take off. And that's what I came for. I gather that there is a tradition in Convocation addresses past of quoting from the classics. So I want to quote something that Marlene said. In her wonderful Convocation speech last year. You were at least as surprised to be here as I was, right? So I've been going everywhere I can thanking Marlene for what she did over the past year on this campus. Just a wonderful job. She's discovered now that by being a senior advisor, she can have all the fun without facing quite so many of the problems. And we're really getting on well. But anyway, I watched her Convocation address from last year. Probably a lot of you were here for that moment. And she was talking about innovation and the range of work that you all do. And she observed that one irrepressible quality of this community is that, quote, wherever we find ourselves in the wider world, we find ourselves working for justice. Right on. I mean, that's a part of our DNA. It's a part of what makes this such a special place, that everything, that all of our struggles are all about change. Hampshire was created to change education. It got together a set of faculty who believed in change. It pulled together students who were excited about the prospect of change, and they're going on to change the world, and that's what we need to build on. I think this is about education to change the person and to change the world, and we have a lot of work to do together. Last spring, one of the things that many of you worked on was a strategic plan for Hampshire. I'm going to talk to you in the future, although I won't take time this afternoon, about how many of the projects that you outlined in that strategic plan are already underway. But there's some terrific things already underway, and we intend to go on to more of them, including greening this building and turning it into a community center, one of your highest priorities. But I think in order to do all this, in order to move forward, we need to be better at telling our story. We need to attach to that strategic plan, attach to all of our ideas, the overarching narrative, the vision of why Hampshire has a unique role to play, the case for Hampshire. And I'm going to ask you all to help me put that together. It's a narrative about our key place in the beginning of the 21st century, in this Anthropocene era when human activity is changing the very nature of the systems on which we depend. A narrative which I hope I, as salesman-in-chief, can take to the world. There will be a campus process this fall in which I hope you'll all be engaged to develop that narrative and that vision. And by this time next year, here's where I'd like us to be. First, that we have a shared case for Hampshire that we can all believe in, that we're all excited about. Second, that we've increased on a very successful 2010-2011 fundraising year, and we come in 20% above that very successful year. Third, that inquiries and applications from new students are up significantly, and we exceed our 8% international students this year by bringing in even more next year. Fourth, that we're making visible progress, something we can all go visit on the physical plant. We need to get this started. This campus was built in the 70s on the assumption that energy was going to be cheap and plentiful, and our buildings are frankly energy hogs, and we need to move beyond that, starting with this building, and green our own space. And fifth, we need to be providing both space and resources for continued innovation by the faculty, giving them the opportunity to do what they really want to do with students here. Can we work on that together? All right. So I've promised the board that we're going to get this case together before the end of the calendar year. So we're going to have some fun together. We're going to hear from some outside people. We're going to do some visioning together. We're going to talk a little bit about what the world may look like in another 25 years. But I do want to make one more observation about this place, picking up on something Dawn was talking about. My experience over the past 18 years working in 50-some different countries on big problems of sustainability is that all of the solutions are community solutions. There is nothing that is changed by one brilliant person. There is nothing that can be blocked by one intransigent person when communities are moving in the right direction. It is all about building communities of common purpose across boundaries of place and class and sector that enable us to make real change happen. And the first community I think we need to think about, the one that we can learn from, is this one. This community, as I understand it, can be challenging. In fact, another thing I noticed that Marlene said in her convocation last year was, just give me a couple of weeks before you occupy my office. Can I extend the same request? You're welcome when it's time. This is a place where we promote challenges. We don't want anybody to accept the status quo or accept what they're told. It's a place where we are glad to explore differences, to have people choose their own path. And even as we seek to develop personal skills and accomplishments, it is a community in which people who differ are brought together. Those who hold differing views, who have come from different experiences, come together and naturally create friction and disagreement. It's not something we avoid, it's something we promote. One of our goals as an academic community is to increase the diversity of views, to strengthen the give and take of differing ideas, and at the same time to create a safe place for the growth and discovery of understanding. Obviously, that's not an easy job. You know our motto, non satiscire. The no is not enough. So what does it mean to you? What beyond knowledge? If knowing is not enough, where beyond knowledge is this community going? We're about engagement, we're about analysis, synthesis, action, reaction, compromise, organizing, civil disobedience, right? They're all part of what's beyond knowledge, because knowledge in itself isn't enough. The question for all of us is how we pull all of those things together and still build a really strong community, which is why Dawn's discussion of community caught my attention. And as I said to the new students and their families on Thursday afternoon, I think one crucial word in this is a word that comes from a great Aretha Franklin song, R-E-S-P-E-C-T. I'm dating myself. I was a college student when she was singing that. I danced to it. I will if we have a really good year. Next year I will dance to it. It's a deal. It's a corny concept. I see respect signs hanging up in front of high schools and stuff like that. You know, this is a cynical time, but is cynicism better than what we're trying to do? Is apathy better? I mean, one of the things I loved about all of you when I came up here to interview is I didn't see any cynicism or any apathy anywhere on this campus. I just think that's a great quality. The passion is wonderful. Passion with respect will be fabulous. Hampshire students are known across the valley for their willingness to speak up and speak out, for being uppity in the face of injustice or intolerance or ignorance, and for great compassion and deep caring. That's a fabulous combination. We can, if we choose, bring those qualities to everyday life on our campus, sharing good with one another and even love. Okay, so just one last observation. Respect for what? Let's start with respect for self. You are all remarkable people doing remarkable things, taking charge of your own education, those of you who are students. Take care of your bodies and your minds and your soul. So much of the anger and disappointment that people feel in an imperfect world sometimes gets turned inward. Don't let that happen. Don't let that happen. Keep focused on changing the world and making the most of what you can. Some of these thoughts came from one of your professors, Larry Winship, and he said one thing which I just love. If you're feeling down, go check out the farm. Grow stuff. Make cheese. Eat local and organic. Visit Oprah. Get out into the hills. Learn to kayak. Roll those kayaks. I mean, what a wonderful experience it is. Play ultimate frisbee. Identify and cherish wildflowers. The woods around here are full of mushrooms. Learn how to identify the edible ones. Not by experimenting. I mean, we live in a fabulous place in a remarkable valley that has a higher quality of life than almost anywhere we could live. Enjoy it. Get into it. That's part of respecting yourself. And I hope we can use the really hard issues to learn how to understand and respect differences among our peers, to practice civil discourse even when differences seem insurmountable. I mean, what's the alternative? How is non-civil discourse working out in Washington? Do we like that? I mean, it's abhorrent, right? It's revolting. So we can do better than that. We aren't politicians. We're passionate people who care about our colleagues and our neighbors and our friends. Finally, thank you. So that's respect for those around you and for the community. Finally, respect for place. I mean, when you go out of the Crown Center today, just take a look around you. What a privilege it is to live in this amazing place. Look at the grass, which actually is not quite so perfect as the grass at some of our sister colleges. Why, Larry?
No pesticide.
Right. There are apples on the trees. You can eat them. You can just pick one and eat it. It's a miraculous world that we live in. Respect the place. Be good stewards. Sustainability, community, and respect, I think, are all linked. For me, they're at a gut level, they're all the same thing. It's about people, it's about nature, it's about community. I hope that you chose this place because of the ways that it is special, and that you'll join me in accepting the opportunity to build on that for your own sake, for the school's sake, and for the world's sake. I think you have a fabulous chance to play a very special role in the world because of the very special education that you're getting. The Hampshire community has made me feel incredibly welcome over the last 8 weeks, and I want you to know I will do all that I can in the coming months to strengthen and support this community and its values. Thank you.